From eye-poppingly expensive sushi to fried clams in a basket, does it really matter where it comes from as long as it's delicious? Stay tuned to find out which are the best seafood restaurants in the U.S. Los Angeles is home to many fine restaurants, and since opening in 2005, Providence is known as one of the great seafood restaurants in the U.S. According to Bon Appetit, Providence has earned 2 coveted Michelin stars. And in 2019, Chef Michael Cimarusti won the James Beard Award for Best Chef in the Western region. The restaurant has a classy but whimsical under-the-sea motif with elegant sculptures of barnacles and fishing nets. According to Providence's website, Cimarusti sources sustainable, wild-caught seafood, and his menu reflects his commitment. The restaurant offers a few starters like oysters and caviar, but you go to Providence for Cimarusti's ever-changing tasting menu. The tasting menu usually has 9 courses, and for the fish-phobic, you can substitute the salmon for duck or Wagyu beef for an extra charge. Celebrity chef Eric Ripert and restaurateur Maggie Lacose teamed up in 1991, and since then, their restaurant, Le Bernardin, has consistently won 4-star ratings from the New York Times and 3 Michelin stars.
Le Bernardin is one of those places that's on everybody's list.
According to Bon Appetit, its longevity is due to Le Bernardin's impeccable waitstaff, superb wine list, and Ripert's ongoing love affair with all creatures nautical. Le Bernardin had a gorgeous facelift in 2012, and in the expanded lounge, you can sip a delightful glass of wine while nibbling on Ripert's justifiably famous salmon rillettes. Restaurant critics still swoon over Le Bernardin's elegant seafood, which looks just as good as it tastes. Almost all reviews of Neptune Oyster, the tiny restaurant in Boston's North End, mention the seemingly interminable wait to get a table. It's no tourist trap either. Locals endure the wait because it's one of the top foodie destinations in Boston. Oysters are the order of the day, but there is so much more to try. Practically every seafood shack in New England serves a lobster roll, but according to Eater, Neptune's is the best lobster roll in Boston. According to the Boston Globe, other dishes that get raves are the cioppino with grilled seafood and the whole Rockport mackerel. The fish is so fresh that it's delivered directly from the boats all day long. Make sure to ask what's the latest fish delivered, and you'll savor what fresh fish should really taste like. And don't pass up on the Johnny Cake, a cornmeal pancake that's slathered with honey and piled with Boston smoked bluefish and sturgeon caviar. If you're a Seattle local, there's no place better to get your fill of bivalves and bubbly than at the Walrus and the Carpenter. Named for a poem in Lewis Carroll's Alice Through the Looking Glass, this embellished oyster bar, as the New York Times called it, combines a French brasserie and farmhouse chic with its rounded zinc bar and huge sea coral chandelier. According to Condé Nast Traveler, there are usually 6 or 7 different types of oysters and several crudo dishes creatively plated under the watchful eye of Chef Renee Erickson, a James Beard Award winner who emphasizes using food and produce local to the region.
I try, every day really hard to pay attention to what's, as local as possible and really make that shine in what we do in our restaurants.
If raw oysters aren't your thing, Seattle Magazine also recommends the delicious fried oysters with cilantro aioli. The Walrus and the Carpenter also offers several vegetable-forward dishes and a few meaty plates, like chicken liver mousse and steak tartare. When in Maui, head up to the northern coast to Paia, the home of the legendary Mama's Fish House. This Hawaiian staple has racked up a number of awards over the years as the best restaurant in Hawaii, but also one of the top 10 restaurants in the U.S. As if the food wasn't enough, it's also situated on a jaw-dropping stretch of Maui Beach and surrounded by coconut palm trees. Lonely Planet raves about the impeccable service and fabulous fish. Fish that's so fresh off the boat that the name of the fisherman who caught it is on the menu. There are a couple of obligatory meat dishes on Mama's menu, but fish and seafood reign supreme. In particular, the Hawaiian kampachi, stuffed with lobster and crab, is not to be missed. Mama's Fish House isn't a cheap local fish shack. Be prepared to be shocked by the prices. Patrons don't seem bothered, though, because Mama's is booked 3 to 6 months in advance. In 2014, Pêche Seafood Grill won the prestigious James Beard Award for Best New Restaurant, and its co-owner and chef Ryan Pruitt tied for Best New Chef, South Region. According to Culture Trip, New Orleans and seafood are synonymous, and Pêche has made its mark for its unique preparation of the local denizens of the deep by grilling their fish and meats over hot coals. Pêche has a smallish menu, but the must-try dish is the entire grilled fish that's meant for sharing. According to Bon Appetit, the type of fish and its preparation changes day to day, depending on what's just been caught in the Mississippi. Other recommended small plates are the smoked tuna dip, ground shrimp over noodles, and, according to Inspired Citizen, Pêche's truly fabulous desserts. Located in San Francisco, Angler is the brainchild of Josh Skanes, whose previous endeavor, Saison, won 3 Michelin stars. In GQ's review in 2019, they named Angler as one of the best new restaurants in the U.S., though the critic noted that the food is, quote, a little unhinged. San Francisco Weekly also spotlights Angler's marked eccentricity, but it's keeping in line with Skanes' philosophy that a seafood restaurant should only serve sustainable fish. As Skanes told the New York Times, I asked fishermen to bring me anything alive, anything sustainable, as long as the quality was really high. According to Food and Wine, Skanes also keeps crustaceans that eat each other in a big tank, so they taste more like the ocean when they're cooked. Angler is seafood-focused, but Skanes also has a New York strip steak and a whole oven-roasted chicken on the menu. One of the non-fish items that gets raves is the whole raw radicchio that's drenched in an impossibly delicious XO sauce. New Englanders are combative about their seafood, particularly when it comes to fried clams. According to New England Today, the fried whole belly clams at Bob's Clam Hut in Kittery, Maine can't be beat. USA Today reports that the reason is the frying oil is changed on average 5 times a day in 11 different fryers, so the oil is always pristine and the clams' coating is light and crisp. But Bob's Clam Hut doesn't just get fried clams right. According to WUSA 9, Bob's also has the best lobster roll in New England.
The lobster roll, the rolls are just packed.
Oh, don't even put that next to me. You won't even get a piece back.
Just full of lobster.
Almost everything on the menu is fish or seafood, but there are also burgers, dogs, and chicken strips for the less adventurous. Bob's has an outdoor patio for the summertime, but what's unique about this clam shack is that it's open year-round. According to 17 Degrees Cork by Northwest, the lobster-stuffed ravioli adorned with chunks of lobster that's served at Fiola Mare is, quote, quite enough to make the most Botoxed face crack with a smile of pleasure. This Adriatic-themed seafood restaurant opened in Georgetown in 2019, and the sophisticated decor might remind you of sailing on a billionaire's yacht with all of its rich-toned wood, marble, and white leather. Chef Fabio Trabocchi was raised near the Adriatic Sea, and he calls upon his Italian upbringing in creating dishes. According to Condé Nast Traveler, Fiola Mare is known for its seafood tower brimming with fish and seafood you don't usually see, like sea bream, langoustine, and big-eye tuna. All of this elegance comes with a huge price tag. However, a popular alternative is the brunch that includes bottomless Prosecco, pastries, 3 courses with a bottomless menu option per guest. Safe Harbor Seafood in Mayport, Florida started out as a fish market in the late 1980s before opening a restaurant in 2013. Food Network praised Safe Harbor for its fresh seafood, but it was hardly a secret to the Jacksonville beach communities. The market had been a local favorite for years, and you know you're in the South when a reviewer from Jacksonville Restaurant Reviews claimed that Safe Harbor's fried gator tail was the best she's ever had. Although alligator is a favorite seafood below the Mason-Dixon line, fear not, there's plenty more to choose from at Safe Harbor that is more traditional seafood. According to Jacksonville.com, the restaurant is known for its generously portioned baskets of fish of your choice, prepared how you like it. Also on the menu is a taco feast, again featuring your selected fish with all of the fixins for making your own tacos. According to Voyage Chicago, Shaw's Crab House in downtown Chicago started out as a small oyster bar in 1984. The following year, a 360-seat restaurant was added on, and Shaw's remains one of the most respected seafood restaurants in the city. Shaw's managing partner claims that Shaw's popularity stems from their vast variety of fish and seafood that's also of the highest quality. According to The Infatuation, Shaw's appeal also has to do with the venue itself, where you can belly up to the bar and slurp down oysters, or slide into a red leather booth and dine more formally. Shaw's menu resembles a steakhouse, but in reverse. You'll see familiar sides like creamed spinach, mashed potatoes, and wedge salad, but steak appears only fleetingly, as the primary focus is huge plates of fish and crustaceans of every kind. Not surprisingly, according to both Eater Chicago and Time Out, Shaw's also has one of the best lobster rolls in town. If you're journeying to the Florida Keys, stop by Hogfish Bar Grill, located on Stock Island. According to Travel + Leisure, Hogfish Bar Grill is a longtime local favorite and dive bar, where the music is hot and the fish is always fresh. There's lots to choose from on their reasonably priced menu, and Condé Nast Traveler recommends washing down with an icy beer. The specialty of the house is, naturally, hogfish, a gargantuan local fish that has a broad head and snout resembling, yes, a hog. It's prized for its sweet, almost scallopy flavor, and Hogfish Bar & Grill makes a tasty hogfish sandwich, piled high with Swiss cheese, onions, and mushrooms on freshly baked Cuban bread.
Everybody cooks hogfish. Right. Everybody puts it in tacos. Everybody cooks it in beer batter. We wanted to come up with something that was unique for hogfish.
In the elegant city of Charleston, South Carolina, an oyster hall is ensconced in a former bank, where by all accounts, there's absolutely nothing ordinary about the ordinary. According to the New York Times, award-winning chef Mike Latta is clearly obsessed with oysters. Latta hails from Massachusetts, but according to Charleston Food & Wine, he's endeared himself to Charlestonians with his passionate support of local fishermen, who provide him with the seafood he needs to create his eclectic menu. According to Charleston City Paper, Latta avoids cliched Southern food and instead uses similar preparations, but with fresh herbs and spices not usually associated with seafood. The menu changes daily, but you'll always find a large sampling of local oysters, which Latta also piles on his well-priced seafood towers. Crispy oyster sliders are a big hit, and look for the skate wing that's roasted on the bone and slides off in delicate white slivers. One of the oddities in Los Angeles is that often the most unprepossessing of buildings can house an extraordinary restaurant, such is the case with Coni'Seafood, where, according to Los Angeles Magazine, the dish to try is the pescado zarandeado. Chef Connie Casio's version of this popular Mexican fish dish is with snook, a fish caught off the Gulf of California. The fish has been split open and grilled, and it had Los Angeles Times food critic Jonathan Gold raving. If you're a shrimp lover, this is the place for you. The menu is chock full with shrimp prepared in many different ways. And the Daily Breeze gives a shout out to the tostaditas stuffed with marlin pate that's topped with shrimp and octopus ceviche. Some dishes are spicy, others are prepared simply, breaded or sautéed with butter and lemon. There are 2 Coni'Seafood locations, both a short Uber ride from Los Angeles International Airport, so stop by during your next layover at LAX. It's impossible not to notice Lobster Pot in downtown Provincetown on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. You might think that it's just another tourist trap, but you'd be wrong. Lobster Pot shows up as top-rated on many travel sites, with Travel + Leisure pleading with those who visit to keep it simple with the lobster, writing, "Order the lobster as God intended it, steamed, with drawn butter on the side." According to Mass Live, Anthony Bourdain got his start as a dishwasher in a nearby restaurant, but Lobster Pot, which he featured on Parts Unknown, held a special place in his heart. The menu is Portuguese-inspired, fused with New England traditional seafood.
And that was precisely what I loved about the food here, the Portuguese thing. Dishes like this stuffed cod crusted with ground Portuguese sausage.
Chowders, stews, and clams cooked every way imaginable are just a fraction of the starters. But of course, you're there for the fresh lobsters that you can select up to a huge 3-pounder and choose to have your spiny critter pan-roasted, baked, or boiled. In 2012, Esquire awarded Best New Restaurant of the Year to The Optimist in Atlanta, Georgia. Bon Appetit also praised The Optimist as one of the best new restaurants in America. Housed in a huge warehouse that's been transformed into a nautical dreamland, the Optimist is the brainchild of restaurateur and chef Ford Fry. The wait for a table can be quite long, but you can while away the time at the adjacent Intimate Oyster Bar. Starters are both imaginative and familiar to Atlanta diners, like she crab soup, peel and eat shrimp, gumbo, and chowder. Entrees feature wood hearth roasted fish, with standouts such as the duck fat poached swordfish and the chunky lobster roll, which wins rave reviews across the board. In 2020, Fry opened another The Optimist in Nashville with a new menu and an emphasis on oysters, and as positively reviewed by Edible Nashville, he scored another hit. A roundup of the best seafood restaurants would be incomplete without Casamento's in New Orleans, which Eater New Orleans calls an essential New Orleans restaurant. This great-granddad of oyster houses has been around since 1919, and its longevity can be attributed to tradition and great food. Despite its age, Casamento's still racks up rave reviews. In 2021, Time Out listed Casamento's as one of the best in New Orleans, and in 2019, Food & Wine named it one of the best oyster bars in the U.S. With its white and green retro tiles, Casamento's feels like a throwback to speakeasies of the Prohibition era. It has 2 small dining rooms that can only seat 33 people, and those fortunate few gulp down bivalves constantly shucked by Casamento's oyster shucking pros. Oysters are served simply with horseradish, Tabasco, and lemon, but Casamento's laurels also rest on their famous oyster loaf, a mammoth sandwich of thick, buttered toast crammed to overflow with plump, deep-fried oysters. If you're planning a trip to New Orleans, be forewarned that Casamento's is closed in the summer when oysters aren't available. Hugging the southeastern coast of Rhode Island is Matunuck Oyster Bar in South Kingstown. Food & Wine includes Matunuck in its list of best oyster bars in the U.S., and Food Network also gives Matunuck a shout-out as one of the top places to eat. What separates Matunuck from other oyster bars is the restaurant actually harvests its oysters from its adjacent oyster farm, where you can rent a pair of waders and tour. According to the Matunuck website, owner Perry Rosso started farming oysters in 2002. And in 2009, he renovated a restaurant attached to the dock, which now provides access to local fishermen who can deliver fish to Matunuck. Enterprising Rosso didn't stop there because, according to Times Union, he also soon created an organic vegetable farm for the restaurant. The menu selection is vast, and the baked, broiled, grilled oyster items outnumber the raw. Rosso apparently toured the state with his chef to perfect Matunuck's version of Rhode Island's beloved Clams Casino. In addition to the lobster pizza and lobster roll, there are a dozen seafood entrees, all just as fresh as you would expect. Michelin-starred Marea made a huge splash when it opened in 2009 for Chef Michael White's original take on seafood with an Italian spin. The New York Times waxed poetic in its review over Marea's sumptuous decor and White's eye-opening fusion of exquisite seafood and freshly made pasta. New York Magazine enjoyed a handful of the fanciful dishes, but overall griped that Marea was excessive and over the top. Sure, Marea is opulent, but Time Out still acknowledged it was no seafood restaurant like any other.
This is the Santa Barbara sea urchin, but we're putting a little layer of lardo on top of it.
That's morally wrong.
White's capricious approach, however, was recently jettisoned as he left, and a new executive chef, Molly Nickerson, was brought in. She's streamlined White's menu, retaining his less ostentatious dishes. Prices are also less wallet gouging and are what you'd expect from a high-end restaurant in Manhattan. Well, as long as you steer clear of the caviar. Crowned by The Travel as one of the best sushi restaurants in the world is Oya in Boston. This theater of omakase is known for its incredible fish and gorgeous plating artistry. According to Gayote, chef Tim Cushman trained with Nobu Matsuhisa, and Cushman's wife and co-owner Nancy is a renowned sake sommelier. Almost all the rapturous press reviews mention that Oya is shockingly expensive. But for sushi fanatics, like the British tourist in the Boston Globe's review, the price is worth it for the swoon-worthy foie gras nigiri, adorned with cocoa, which Time Out also highlighted in their review. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nikki Swift videos about your favorite seafood restaurants are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.